Okay, let's make this fairly quick. This is the Zephyr. You asked about how to make it. I can only show you in some small detail since it would take hours to go through it completely. But I'll take it apart for you so you can see how it goes together. Again, this uses merge mods, but it's not super fancy, not like some of my other work. So let's go ahead and pull these out of the way so you can take a look. As for the front, there's only one thing that's kind of fancy, and that's this utility here. It's part of SMSX modules, the three snaps on the end. There's nothing else fancy about it. There's no snap hubs or anything like that. The reason this is there is to attach this. Without it, it would either lay right there, which isn't too bad. I mean, you could do that if you want. But the problem with that is you'll have to share snaps. Now it works out fine because there's nothing here to interfere with it. That is a braking motor, and that's a Nova wing shape. There's no extra cool features. In fact, that's really superfluous. And at that point, you can just add Matilaja's stuff to it. Like that. Now, this is a Tayo piece, and this has some utility from Class M ships. And unfortunately, it was not done correctly. And so the only one that you can use easily is the top part front and the top part back. But so here's what we'll do with that. Let's get this out of the way. There we go. Now this is Matilaja's cowling pieces. They fit together on the edges here, which makes them both useful and sometimes a pain in the butt. You can see how slim it is. It doesn't go all the way across. So unless you like it slim all the way across, which could be problematic when you have halves here, it's best to merge it with some of these. Now let's pull this out of the way. Some snap like to be shared. This allows this one to go into place. Oops, that's the wrong one. That allows this one to go into place. And then we can go ahead and put this back. Now, because the snap is on the edge, it's not a big deal. So it merges pretty smooth. As far as these are concerned, well, this is just one spot after the other. Put that there. Put this there. We're almost ready to go. You see how that works out? And then we got that little bump on the end. That's a Hoptech bumper. And let's see, where should that go? That one should be a little more inward. There's nothing to attach to. Sometimes you get into problems like that where you have to find a way to figure out attachments. This one has an attachment. I assume it attaches there, but we'll have to find out. Let's put that back. Oh, I see what the problem is. It's too far in. And that should allow that little bumper to go back into place. Come on. Some of these mods have crappy handles on them, and it requires you to mess around with them a little bit. So you may run into that. These are not merged. You can see that if I try to select all, it doesn't. So what we'll do, let's find a way to attach this first. And since that's in the way, taking up the snaps, we have to go with this one first. And then we can try this. Okay, because there's no other available way to snap it in, this is the more common method to share snaps. And that is, we remove a part, we attach how we need it, and then we put the part back. Select the whole group and put the part back. As far as it is concerned, it's all merged. Not a problem. Now let's look at the halves. Let's get this out of the way. This is Daratech. It is an empty 3x2 roughly hab, and might be 3x1. Yeah, very roughly 2.5 by 1. It's empty, and it shows not much inside of it until you start packing up with stuff. What I've done here is I've added some equipment plates, because Matilla offers lighting features that will bolt onto those equipment plates. They're not that bright, but they will light up an interior and an exterior section. If we put that back, any lights that we put in will show inside. I'm not sure. I think we have some lights on them. Yes, there they are. See that one there? And that one there. He offers multicolored lights, so you can make it kind of fancy. Now, I've also added these Deimos bumpers. And what they do is kind of fill in the gap. They slightly interfere with it, but not very much. So when you go inside the hab itself, it's still pretty good. Not a problem. Now let's go ahead and move that. See how I did the order? Let's go ahead and take a look at the habs. These are brakes or jail cells, and I've made the top mostly due to that, plus flying the ship. For instance, there's a control room here. So what I've done is I've put a Matilla elevator staircase here. It's a three-way staircase. The back side's not used. Matilla makes 3-story and 4-story three-way staircases, and he also makes 2-story 4-way staircases. So you can see what I've done here. Now, these modules here come from, let's see, the No Doors mod, or it's a door replacement mod. What it does is it removes all computer AI generation of doors, except whatever comes in pre-built ships, and allows you to place a door yourself. Any kind of door. Like on this side, there's a shutter. On some other areas, it's a regular door. In some other areas, it'll just be pass-throughs. So that completes that part. Now we get to the sections that you might be interested in. You go ahead and tear this apart. You can see the pass-through here, and that will make a window. Okay, let's tear this out so you can better. Come on. Sometimes it's hard to get the handles, and that's, I think, partly the engine. I think that's also partly modders who do that. I'll have to leave that in because I can't grab it. Now, these are Deratech slope. They're kind of ugly because they're chrome, but they work out well enough for covering features like this. This is a Deratech legacy item. It is a ramp that's comes in two different forms. One of them is all chromed out, and the other one is a composite. And what I've done is joined up a number of them. See, there's the other one. So it creates a slope to the superstructure up above. And if we take a look at the superstructure up above, this is a little bit of a cheat. This is from another mod. I think it's Tiger, who creates these empty shells. If you've got two different halves and you want to make it like the same, you can put it over that. That's not even a hab here. As long as there is a hab that it can attach to, it won't attach to anything like this. It won't attach to this. But as long as there's a hab, it will attach to it. Here's the elevator. Or not the elevator. I keep saying elevator, but I mean staircase. This is the four-way. Now, I don't use a four-way on this because there's only forward and back. But as long as you don't put the doors in, it'll cover those up. Here's the cockpit. The cockpit does not get a pass-through. You can add one if you want, and it'll replace the door with a pass-through. But so what happens is you come up the ramp through the pass-through here, you go up through the staircase here, you turn around, and you can enter that section there. So that forward, it goes to the cockpit. And if you go backward, I've got a workshop. Again, you notice I've got a pass-through here. In the workshop, I put close to the bridge, although there's another workshop below. And the reason I put it close to the bridge is because a lot of your time's going to be spent up here anyway. So I might as well put it up here. Now, since we have a hab here, this will stick, and it makes it look a bit more like one section. To cap it up, we have a number of Nova cowling parts. This is part of mod 2 because normally Nova cowling don't allow you to put them all over the place, rotate them and things like that, whereas this one does. The same goes with his demo kits. The reason I put them in here is just kind of to add some stuff to blend it in a little bit, because with only the Nova cowling, it'll show this module and it'll kind of stick out like a sore thumb. You'll notice that it's, even though it does not look like we have any available snaps, there are some hidden. And that's why we are allowed to do. And of course, I place a docking adapter here. A docking adapter normally needs to be on the outside edge of a ship. If I had wanted to, I could put it somewhere over on this side, although it wouldn't work well with the lounge here. But, anywhere where there might be an available spot on a hab itself, then we can do it. Now, as far as the bottom side, it broadly mirrors the top side. Except you'll notice that there's no staircase. The ramp goes directly into an antechamber. Oh, no, it doesn't even do that in this case. It just goes directly to the to the airlock. There you go. And I'm using Metellige's airlocks because he allows, he makes it so certain airlocks go through instead of going up. And that would be very useful. Now, I just covered up with a Veritech here. And that takes care of that problem. Now, as far as landing gear is always a problem. And I've used merging for this. Let's go ahead and get that out of the way so you can see. See that guy hiding in there? That's what allows me to put multiple types of landing gear on. As long as you've got some snap points to attach to, you're okay. So let's go ahead and put this back. See how it wants to snap to there. But you can still do it. What you do in this case, so I've got this forward landing gear part, is I can attach it to that. Or if that's too much trouble, I can make an attachment point here and do it this way. Sometimes you have to work around stuff like that because of the problems here and here. So let's see if we can work around it. There we go. We're a little off on this, so let's change this out a little. That forward so it matches. Okay, and it looks like we're close, a little bit off. It helps that these Demos Bs have 3 snap points. That allows me to move this object back and forth until it looks right. Okay, that's about right. And that snuggles right into there quite nicely. It looks like it's straight. And this one, because the snap is available over here, should fit. Now, if it doesn't, then you got to do some funkier stuff. And sometimes it's a pain in the butt. Like, do a group select, grab these, get this out of the way, and stick this where it needs to go. Ah, that's where my problem is. There. Okay. And we do a group select here again. And come on. There we go. And force that back. What you're doing this is you're kind of working around the snap limit by creating alternative ways it can snap. You know, if I can't share this snap with this item here, with this item here, I could attach all this crap to this here, even when it's not actually attached to anything. For instance, this isn't attached to anything, it's free floating. But what I can do is do a group select here. Notice there's a free floating item here. And then I could grab the whole thing, put it back. When you've done that, in theory, except for these items sometimes cause trouble. In theory, though, they should fix themselves. Yeah, I do have a little bit of a problem here. And that sometimes happens when you move things around like I just did. And, you know, as you work it back and forth, things like that, it finally comes to being. Now it's all flattened out. You get my point, though. That kind of stuff tends to cause you a lot of trouble. And that's why you build these separately into discrete elements. Like, you take all of this, or all the top, and you build it somewhere else. Make sure it's all working, and then you drag the whole thing where it needs to be. Now, one of the cool elements I liked about doing this, all that get up there, is it allows you to do certain things that you weren't able to do before. And you can see how ugly it would be without all that crap. And now you see that it's kind of covered up. Anyway, that takes care of that. Anything else you'll have to do by learning some merging techniques. It's best if you do pieces at a time. For instance, the bow, the center section, the stern. Keep that all separate until you're ready to start putting them together. Put them together one at a time. Look at them, make sure that they pass a sanity check so they don't do anything crazy. And, like what you saw there, or in this case here, because there's nothing else for it to attach to there. Once you pass that sanity check, then go ahead and continue to the rest. You'll notice it says normal here. That's because I've got a mod that allows me to bypass the error checks. For instance, if I'm doing a ship and I get to the point where I need to save it and quit, you can't do that with Starfield normally. You can do that if you add this mod. You can just save it as it is, and if you look at it, it'll look crazy when you look at it outside in the game itself. But we're not going to save it. And there you go. Let's see if this thing still has problems. No, we're pretty much okay. You can see it's just dragging things around, can sometimes cause trouble. That's it.